Well, hi, Melissa, and welcome so much to the Rethink You podcast. I'm so excited to have you here. And I'm going to jump right in and say I've already given people some information about who you are. Why don't you go ahead and tell us a bit of your story? How did you end up doing what you're doing now that we're going to talk about?
Well, thank you, Kim, for having me. I do really appreciate it, and I'm happy to be here with you. I am now a coach, and basically it started many years ago. Back in 1991, when I was a freshman in high school, I decided I wanted to be an athlete, and I wanted to be on a team and do some amazing things. And so that journey started as, I tried out for football, or I tried out for basketball, and I didn't make the team. So I went on to cheerleading, and I didn't make that team either. And then the next sports that were up were volleyball or football. And I hate volleyball. I absolutely hate how my wrist sting when the ball hits them. And I was just like, no, I can't do volleyball, but I can do football. And so I showed up the first day for practice, and the coach told me, "What are you doing here? We do not want you here. This is a boys' sport. Get out of here." And after the disappointment and the rejection from the other two sports, I just couldn't give up, because I was like, no, I have a right to be here. And I turned around and I started heading to the office to speak to the principal. And that coach yelled, "Go home and play with your dolls." And when he said that, my heart broke, because I felt very unwanted. And I thought, I'll show you. And so the next day I showed up for practice again, and I just kept coming back and coming back. And he realized he couldn't get rid of me. And so at the end of the season, we had a great season. We did some amazing things. I played in several games, felt very alive doing so. It was amazing. And at the end of that season, he had to sign my letter, my certificate that I finished, and I earned a letter in JV football. And
love it.
It felt amazing, truly amazing. I didn't realize that something more amazing was going to happen. And wrestling season came up, and two girls went out and wrestled. And that was a moment when I realized, by me living my dream, others were inspired to live their dreams. And now you roll 29 years forward from that time, and I work at a high school where we have 20 girl wrestlers. And one of those girls is actually a state champion. And when I connected with her and told her my story, she was blown away, because she realized the impact that my life had on hers. And then an opportunity came up for me to coach track. 3 coaches came and asked me, "We want you to coach track." And it felt so good to be wanted. And I said, of course, I will do it. And I became a jump coach. I coached triple and long jump. And going to districts, I had 8 of the 16 spots in boys long jump. My jumpers were there, and that felt amazing as well. And I think people started saying, "How does she do what she does?" And we just had a great time, and I had a lot of success. And then one of my boys, when we were in regionals, he was trying to make it to state, and he had jumped in 8th place for the first 3 jumps. Well, when you jump up to 9th place, the first through 9th place, they get 3 more jumps. So he had made it into the finals, and he could go. And I just told him, I said, "You can do this. I believe in you." I encouraged him. I had him do some stretches, and I told him, "You just need one good jump. You got this." And he jumped and he did an amazing job, and he made third place, and that gave him a place to go to state. So
Oh, that's
on the way
fabulous.
home, I was just like, I just helped a kid get to state. And I mean, everybody was leaving. Everybody had given up on, you know, who knows. He was the last kid to make it to state on our team. And it was just so amazing because hours earlier, he was really bummed and, you know, very doubtful that he would make it. So he placed 10th in state as a triple jumper. And that was quite an accomplishment for a coach and for a student athlete. And then I went on to coach football, and I could see the writing on the wall. I could see where I was headed. And I talked to the head coach, Brett J., and I said, I had told him this multiple times beforehand, but I said, if you want to go all the way in football, you want to beat that rival team, I have what it takes. And I think in track, I showed him I had what it takes. And he brought me on board, and I became a varsity football coach.
Wow. Wow. Melissa, you know, just what a great story. I remember the first time I heard your story, I thought, what fantastic inspiration. But you've taken it much further. Tell me, you know, how has this kind of impacted you, and what is your big purpose in life that's come out of this story, this journey back from that day of saying, don't go home and play, you know, go home and play with your dolls. And that sort of light bulb, obviously, that switched in you that said, I'll show you. And you've come this far forward. So talk a little bit about what your purpose is now, and what are some lessons that life has taught you over these last 29 years?
So some of the life lessons that I've learned is, first of all, never give up on yourself. You can do anything that you want in this world. And it's all about how big is your dream. And I learned how to put my doubts in myself and turn it into fuel. So anything anybody would say that was negative to me, I would just turn it into fuel. In fact, when I was playing high school football, a little further down the season, when they saw this girl isn't going anywhere, they actually put a price tag on my head and said, we will give whoever can get her to quit $50. And I was like, ain't no one making money off me. Like, and those boys, they hit me harder, and I just gave them it back. And at some point they realized she ain't going nowhere. And so if you can take whatever's against you and turn it around and push it, have it fuel you forward, that is really what I gained.
Yes. That's I wanted to comment on that because, you know, I say to people in life that the ability to reframe and get a whole new perspective over something, as you said, and take that doubt and turn it around into fuel. I think that's a key point that's just so inherent in your story. So I wanted to draw attention to it because sometimes listeners hear the words, goes in one ear and out the other, right? So I just wanted to draw attention to that turning that into fuel. And your lessons apply even to women in the corporate world, if you think about it, that women always have to prove themselves that much harder in order to achieve success. And I like to think that things have gotten better, but your story about them having, trying to get you out the game and you having to work that much harder is powerful. So sorry to just draw attention to that, but let's go to the next one.
So the next thing that I learned, and this I also learned in football, is you don't have to prove anything. If you know you can do it, you don't need to prove it to anybody.
Right.
So we got a new squat machine in the weight room when I was in football. And the whole stack is 465 pounds. And of course, all the guys are getting around, I can do this. And of course, I knew I could lift the whole stack, and I did. But there's consequences sometimes when you show off. Because what happened to me is I broke all the blood vessels in my shoulders from lifting 465 pounds. I only weighed 150 pounds to begin with.
Goodness. Okay.
So just because you can do something and you know you can do it doesn't mean you need to show off and help others see that, you know, I look back at that and I think, what was I thinking? But I wanted to prove myself. I knew I could do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't need to prove it to myself and go to that extreme, you know. There's parts of life that, you know, we can do things, we can do anything we want to do. I do believe that. But sometimes there are consequences in, you know, having little red spots all over my shoulders the very next day when I went to I had gone to like a ball and I had little red spots all over my shoulders and I was wearing a dress that showed it. And I was like, you know, so sometimes you will carry a scar from showing people what you can do.
Right. Powerful, powerful things. I mean, was there ever a time that you got off track, Melissa? Did you ever find yourself giving into those doubts again and kind of walking away what you feel you were called to?
I would have to say yes. I'm going to give you a peek into my life of
only that you want to share.
Yes. Well, there was a moment in my life when in 1998 on Mother's Day, and I found myself in a relationship. I was in a marriage and it was a very tight place that I had let myself become and get into. And it was abusive marriage. And at that time, my ex-husband, he was holding my head underwater in the kitchen sink. And when he pulled me out, I just woke up and I said to myself, I will never be treated this way again. Never. So you can see that, you know, 7 years earlier, I was playing football. I was doing all these amazing things. I was an athlete. I was living my dream. But somewhere down the road, I let myself get into a relationship that was not a good thing for me. And I let some negative self-talk really get in there in my head. And I allowed it to put me in a position where I was not happy. It was not healthy. And until that day when I stood up again in myself and said, you know, that was my second really awakening of, you don't know who you're dealing with, and I am done, and I will never be treated this way again.
That is powerful, Melissa. Thank you for sharing that. And obviously you got yourself back from that because, you know, just last year you got Coach of the Year award from the Success Hotline. So talk about turning your life around. You definitely got yourself back on track. But I really appreciate you sharing that story because I think many times people do find themselves trapped in situations and they don't realize that they hold the keys to get themselves out of it. And, you know, it's all in your thinking. As you said, it's allowing that toxicity and that doubt to take root where your life is so much bigger than that. So tell me, what are you working on now? What are you excited about? Because I know that you've turned some of that around into a stronger message of healing and how we can go deeper within ourselves. So talk to me a little about this book that you're writing. Let's take a turn away from sports here for a minute.
So I am in the process of birthing a book, and it is called The Ride of Your Life. And in this book, I take people on a journey of their life, where they're at, how they speak to themselves, what they have to do to release negative energy and negative pain and self-abuse. Because I didn't realize that I was even in this place of darkness I didn't realize there was a way out. But now that I've come out of it, I have positive self-talk, and I've been able to flip that and see that I am a winner and all the good things that are going on in my life, and focus on that rather than looking for the evidence of the other side. We will see whatever we want to see in life. We can either pick up all the evidence of the negative, or we can pick up the evidence of the positive, and that is how we're going to see our lives.
Right.
And for a long time, I used to draw negativity to me because that's what I thought I deserved, and that's what I had, this negative self-talk. And so in my book, I really am hoping to empower people to realize they're the only ones that can take their life to where they want to get it. They're the only ones that can heal themselves. The more they speak negatively about their life, the more negative they're asking for. And I know that's harsh.
Yes.
It's harsh to hear that. But if I don't tell people that, then they're never going to know, because I wish somebody told me a long time ago.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. And I'm nodding here because it's the same message that I give. And I think a lot of us, and I certainly know, as Les Brown always says, stop speaking death over yourself. You will get what you speak of over yourself. And there's so many of us that have been mentored by him that know that message strong and clear. And you're right, we've got to smack people on the upside of the head sometimes and tell them this truth. And obviously, I can't wait to get your book. So, just put me on your list. Long before it ever gets published, I'm going to order it. But let's sort of get back a little bit to you, Melissa. Besides the book, which is obviously going to be powerful, it has a message that the world needs to hear. As you've gone through your life and your own growth and coming back from all these situations, what gifts and talents are you aware of within yourself that have been either strengthened or birthed, and you've suddenly become aware of them?
So I would say definitely, I talked about a little bit before, the positive self-talk, and being able to really hone in on, the more I use that positive self-talk, the more I can create the life that I want to live, and the life that I'm happy living, and one you can't wait to wake up in the morning to live. I mean, I want you to think about that for a second. Most people, I don't think there's many people who they're like, I can't wait to get up in the morning. But what if you could create the life where you couldn't wait to get up in the morning, that your shower is calling you? One of the things that I'm eventually going to put in the book, but I just feel like I should share with you right now, is something I did, taking a shower head and taking the flow restrictor out of your shower head. It makes you, and you buy one that you don't have to have the flow restrictor in, and you can have a spa-like shower in your own house. And the power of water, the power of water, and how it can revive your life. And even I had my father-in-law came to visit, and he said, your shower is so invigorating. And shouldn't we all get to have a 5-minute shower that's invigorating in the morning?
Absolutely. So explain to me again what you did to your shower, because now you've got me curious. I want to go do this.
So all you do is you buy a shower head that has a removable flow restrictor. So there's a little piece of plastic they put in these shower heads. It's to save water.
Right.
But in my opinion, I'll pay for the extra water and have a better life than preventing me from having, and I have long hair and I need to get it very, rinsed well. And so if you can, you just take out that piece and you put a new shower head on there without the flow restrictor in it, and it gives you power. I mean, it makes me want to live my life every morning. I just can't wait to get up and get in my shower and have that, just that power from the shower head light me up and make me awake and make me alive and make me feel as though I'm worthy of that too. I think sometimes we think, oh, we're not worthy of luxury, or we're not worthy of anything extra. Of course you are. What's the commercial, L'Oreal? You're worth it,
Yes. You're worth it. And that's such good advice because I actually had the same thought this morning. I thought, what a wonderful world we would have if everybody had that feeling that got up to a purpose that, as you said, I can't wait to get my day started, how much better the world would be. And I think that that's a message that you're bringing people, Melissa. So thank you for sharing that. And as I said, you got me curious now. I'm going to go check for that in my own shower and see if I can get that done because I love the idea. But anything else, what else is on your immediate get done now list? What are you focused on between the next, 45 days or so until the end of the year?
Well, like I said about my book, I'm hoping to get my book published. I mean, it's in its finishing stages right now, and just getting out there to speak to people. I spoke in Sri Lanka virtually last week, and the energy that I receive by speaking to other people and filling them up and they fill me up.
Yes.
And so just, speaking to audiences, inspiring people, and just really continuing to build the life that I want to live, being an author, just coaching other people. In fact, a couple days ago, I had an experience where one of my students, he's a jumper, he was headed for the Naval Academy and he needed to do some testing. And so as I was testing him, and the coach in me was like, on his last lap of his mile, I just ran over to him and I said, come on, you got to pull it out. This is when you turn up the gas. Like, we're going to squeeze the rest of that gas that's in the tank out of you. You got to, pick it up. And I was just running, just telling him, come on. And when he finished that mile and he came across the finish line, he puked all over the place. And I said, good for you. You didn't leave anything. Like, you did not, you did your best.
Right. And fabulous. I love that.
It was, I felt bad for him. I really did, because I hate to throw up, but I just rubbed his back and I said, you have no doubt that you gave your all during this testing. No doubt. You pushed your body as far as it could go. And I was just so proud of him. And
That's
so
fabulous.
Just doing little things like that, just still coaching kids, coaching other people. When I talk to people, when they say something, it doesn't resonate with me, I'm like, don't you tell me you don't have it in you. Of course you do. And I just point out some of the good things that I've seen them do, or, just their ability to, of course you can rise up. Don't say self-limiting things. Don't believe them. It's your life.
Well, it's powerful. As Zig Ziglar said, if you help enough people get what they want, you'll get what you want. And your story is the epitome of that, because you're helping other people achieve their dreams. And in the process, you are having a life that you love. I've just loved listening to more of your story, Melissa, because I know when I first heard your story, I'm like, I have to speak to that woman. I just love her story. What else? So besides finishing the book, what else would you like the listeners to remember about you after they've listened to this podcast? What are the key takeaways if we think of the beginning of your story and that football and story about go home and play with your dolls, come full circle to this coach that's helping people achieve amazing goals. What do you think the takeaway should be?
The takeaway is this: you can do anything you put your mind to. And when I was coaching football this last season in 2019, our team had been around since 1972. They had only beat their rival one time in 2012. And my goal was to inspire them to be able to do that, to beat their rival, because that was like the number one goal for me, for the team. And I think they wanted it just as bad as anything as well. And before they went out on the field, I said that very sentence to them: you can do anything you put your mind to. And I was here to remind them of that. And they went out there and they had the most amazing game. And in less than, I think it was like 36 seconds, in the last 36 seconds of the game, we scored 2 touchdowns. and we won the game. In fact, on the last play of the game, 2 seconds left, we were like, we still have 2 seconds, we have to hold them. And our team intercepted the ball again. So when you are on fire and you put yourself on fire, like in your own mind, and you believe that you can do anything, you can. And they beat those Bombers for the second time in 52 years, if my math is right, or 48 years, I guess 48 years. And 2,200 kids that go to our school will never forget that game. They will never forget the power they have inside themselves to do something amazing.
Oh,
and
fabulous.
We broke other records. One time, one game, 70 points scored in a game. The very next game, I said, let's break it again. We didn't, but I'm just saying you have to have that attitude of know where your records are so that you know where to break them, right?
Great advice. Great advice from Coach Burnside. We're all cheering from the sidelines here. So thank you so much. This has just been an awesome story. Anything else that I haven't asked you that you wish I had before we close out?
I just think that if people can really understand in their own life that if you're taking inventory and you're not happy with something, you are the only person that has the power to change it. Don't blame anybody but yourself, because as you start to change your steps in a dance, the other person has to change theirs. So you have more power over other people than you realize. And as you become the person that you're meant to be, other people will change as well. So always have hope. Always have hope in any relationship, friendship. Just always know that you're part of the piece and that you can only control you. So I always tell people, control the controllable. So what do you have control over? That is what you focus your energy on changing or controlling, rather than trying to control other people.
Right. Absolutely. Excellent, excellent, Melissa. Well, thank you so much for making time for us today. I really appreciate it. And I know that the listeners are going to love your message. I will be posting the links to your website. And when you get the details about your book, please let me know. And I'll make sure I update the show notes on that. So whoever's listening to the podcast in the future can immediately go find your book, because I know they're going to want to. So thanks again so much.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure.
Thanks, Melissa.